He's been called the man with the golden ears, Clive Davis, the music mogul behind legends like Whitney Houston, Alicia Keys, and Janis Joplin. But not every artist under his wing found fame and fortune. Some were silenced, shelved, or ruined. This is the untold story of the artist almost destroyed by Clive Davis. For decades, Clive Davis shaped the sound of pop, R&B, and soul. From founding Arista Records to running J Records and RCA, he had the power to make or break careers. And behind every chart-topping hit, there were contracts, control, and controversy. Kelly Clarkson was the first American Idol winner and a Clive Davis protege. But when she tried to release her rock-inspired album, My December, Clive was not having it. He allegedly called it uncommercial and pressured her to change the direction. Kelly pushed back, and the label gave her the cold shoulder. TLC was the best-selling girl group of the 90s and still filed for bankruptcy. Under LaFace and Arista, they sold millions and made next to nothing. The contracts were predatory, the support minimal. And Clive Davis at the top of the food chain while they publicly fought for their earnings. Angie Stone helped pioneer neo-soul. Signed to Clive's J Records, she had the voice, the sound, and the legacy. But when artists like Alicia Keys came along, Angie was quietly pushed into the background. Despite critical acclaim, her albums were underpromoted and overlooked. Many believe she was sidelined to prioritize younger, more marketable faces. Luther Vandross had one of the most iconic voices in R&B history. But behind the scenes, he and Clive Davis didn't always see eye to eye. Clive reportedly clashed with Luther over creative control, pressuring him to conform to pop trends instead of following his own musical instincts. At times, Luther's projects were delayed, reworked, or underpromoted unless they matched Clive's vision. Even at the peak of his career, Luther was treated like a product, not a partner. Janis Joplin was a wild force of nature and the Clive Davis signee, but she was struggling deeply. While her fame soared, her addiction worsened, and the industry kept cashing checks. She died at the age of 27, a victim of both her demons and an industry that watched her fall. Phyllis Hyman was a powerhouse jazz and soul singer with unmatched vocals and deeply emotional presence. When Clive Davis signed her to Arista Records, there were hopes she'd become a crossover star. But Phyllis refused to be molded. She wasn't interested in chasing pop success or compromising her sound. While Clive pushed artists like Whitney Houston to the forefront, Phyllis felt neglected and underpromoted. She struggled with depression and addiction and often spoke about how the industry, and Davis in particular, failed to support her vision. Tragically, in 1995, just hours before a show at the Apollo, she died by suicide. Her story is a painful reminder of how the industry can elevate some while breaking others. Whitney Houston was Clive Davis's crown jewel, the voice he discovered, shaped, and proudly promoted. From the very beginning, Clive controlled everything: her image, her sound, even the songs she sang. She was groomed to be America's perfect pop princess, but behind the glamour was a woman in pain. As the pressure mounted and the years passed, Whitney's personal struggles became impossible to hide. Addiction, toxic relationships, and constant public scrutiny. And yet, the show was always on. Then came the night of February 11, 2012. Whitney Houston was found dead in a Beverly Hilton hotel bathtub, just hours before Clive Davis's annual pre-Grammy party. While her body remained upstairs, the party went on downstairs. The woman who made him millions died alone, steps away from a ballroom full of celebrities. To some, it was business as usual. To others, it was the ultimate betrayal. Clive Davis will always be remembered as a legend in the music business. But behind every platinum plaque is a story the public never heard. Stories of control, conflict, and careers held hostage. Subscribe to Hollywood Gossip for more stories the industry doesn't want you to hear, because the price of fame is rarely told in full.